I want to thank everybody for being with us here today. There's a lot of ground to cover where we want to update people on where we are and where we're going. I want to start out by expressing my gratitude to the Eastland County Judge Fields, who's with us and will be speaking here shortly, as well as the Eastland County Sheriff Weger, the Brown County Judge, who is also with us, the Mayor of Eastland, Larry Vernon, the Police Chief of Eastland, Chief Hullum, and State Representative Glenn Rogers, and then there's so many others. I could go on listing folks for a long time. We thank them for working around the clock for the past few days to make sure that their communities around the entire region are being protected and preserved and saved as much as they possibly can. There's a lot of other ground I want to cover. Before I go further, however, I would like to meet with Anna Oliveira. Anna, is that you? So the people who live here know who Anna is. So unfortunately, the fire has claimed some lives, and we'll talk more about that in a second. But one person who lost her life because of the fire is Sheriff Deputy Barbara Finley. And we are sorrowful for her loss of life. But as a state, we have great appreciation for her service, for stepping up, for doing what Texas law enforcement officials do every single day. They put their lives on the line to preserve and to protect their communities. And that's exactly what she did. And she will be honored more officially later. However, today I flew a flag over the capital of the great state of Texas that I'm going to present to you now for the family.
Thank you.
So, as you all know, the fire is covering a lot of ground across the entire area, and state and local officials are working collaboratively and successfully at working to contain the fire. From the state side, there are 13 agencies that are involved. The Texas Division of Emergency Management, the chief of which is next to me, and he will be talking here shortly, Chief Nim Kidd. Additionally, the Texas A&M Forest Service, the Texas A&M Engineering Extension Service, the Texas Commission on Environmental Quality, the Texas Department of Public Safety, Texas Department of Transportation, the Department of State Health Services, the Texas Military Department, Texas Parks and Wildlife, Texas Public Utilities Commission, the Railroad Commission of Texas, the Texas Animal Health Commission, as well as the Texas A&M AgriLife. We appreciate all of those state agencies who are working in collaboration with all of the local officials to make sure that the state and local governments are doing everything possible to be able to better contain these fires and putting a primary focus on making sure we do everything possible to save human lives and then, in addition, save as much property as we possibly can. In addition to all the officials who are here, I do want to especially recognize the fact that there are volunteers and volunteer firefighters from across the state, including representing at least 48 fire departments and coming from 22 different counties across the state. And are they represented by this chart right here? And this is, when you have a fire this large in this many different areas, you need all the help that you can get, and we appreciate the firefighters stepping up and assisting these fires across the entire region. Already we know that there have been at least 50 homes that have been lost. Probably as we are able to better surveil damages here in the coming days, we will find more than that. Those 50 homes are located in Eastland, Comanche, and Brown counties. And again, as we learn more here in the coming days, we may find more either homes or other structures that will be identified as being lost. Because of these damages and because of the need for these communities to be able to respond to these damages, I'm at this time going to be signing a state proclamation, making it a disaster declaration to assist all of the local counties that are currently affected, as well as additional counties that may be added. In this declaration that I'm about to sign, it includes 11 counties: Brooks, Brown, Coleman, Comanche, Eastland, Grayson, Mason, Potter, Randall, Reynolds, and Williamson. And again, based upon what happens with the fires, we may need to add to that, which we will do if other counties are affected. Now, containment is a top priority. The main thing that we gathered from the briefing that we had before coming out here is exactly where the fires are located, which this is a picture of, as well as what is being done in order to achieve containment. And there's multiple strategies that others may go into detail about it, but they are the obvious things, and that is, for one, digging areas that will provide some level of fire break. Fortunately, now we're able to provide aircraft that are able to drop different material. Some could be fire retardants, some could be water, whatever the case may be. It's my understanding that early on that was not possible because of high winds that made it either ineffective or incapable for the planes to be able to fly. Now they are able to do so, and that tool and strategy should remain available, if not increase, here in the coming hours to help be able to combat this fire. As the fire officials will explain to you here shortly, they can tell you exactly what they're doing to contain it. Bottom line is that they are now able to establish effective strategies to begin and to increase the containment. However, we cannot underscore enough that there is danger that remains in the surrounding areas, and one reason for that ongoing danger is in part because of the nature of the ground at this particular time, which is quite dry, but also in part because of the ever-shifting winds. And we need to understand that part of what we're fighting is the fire, and part of what we're fighting is the weather and the winds. But the firefighters understand that. They know ways to be able to deal with that, especially now that they do have some level of containment. Importantly, one thing that we see happen in Texas whenever challenges like this arise is that Texans come together and respond together and help each other. And that's exactly what is needed now. When you consider those who are without a home right now, they need a place to stay. They need care provided to them. And I'm proud that there are shelters that are open, and I want to list them for you so that you'll be able to share them with others who may be losing a location or they may be looking for a location. There are many shelters that are open right now. One is First Baptist at 405 South Seaman here in Eastland. Another is River of Life Church, which is at 1247 East Main in Eastland. Another is the Myrtle Wilkes Community Center at 1498 I-20 in Cisco, Texas. And then another one that's opening up is Gorman Community Center, 118 South Kent in Gorman, Texas. There's also a location where all the volunteer organizations are working together, organizations like the Red Cross, for example. At this location I'm about to tell you about is also where people would go if they are seeking to sign up for relief that they could be able to receive from either the federal government or the state government or local government agencies. And this is found at Siebert Elementary, which is at, I have, what's that address? 100 Little Meadow? Little Maverick Trail. 100 Little Maverick Trail in Eastland. So the Siebert Elementary at 100 Little Maverick Trail in Eastland is where those folks are located. Also important when we're dealing with fires in rural areas like this is what's happening to all the animals and all the ranches around the entire area. And so there is a location for that where hay and feed can be obtained, or the resources can be obtained, or people may actually need to deliver animals to this location. It's at the Cattle Exchange at 9009 I-20 in Olden, Texas. And I think that's all I have at this particular time. I do want to express my gratitude once again for all of the officials who are working together, but most importantly, for the people who are standing behind the cameras, the residents and people in the area who've been, whose lives have been disrupted, who are working around the clock to save their homes, save their property, save their friends, and put families first and put lives first, which is most important, and then protecting property. At this time, I'd like to call on the Eastland County Judge to share more information about what's going on, and then we'll have others provide additional information.
Well, thank you, Governor Abbott, and I very much appreciate you being here today. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for helping us push our message out. I can't say enough about our local responders, fire, law, and EMS, volunteers, mainly for fire departments, did an absolutely amazing job last night in containing the fire as well as we could. We did lose a lot of Carbon, Texas, as those of you that have been down there have seen. It's devastating. And then the area between Carbon and Gorman looks like it did when I was a kid. It was just all peanut land. The vegetation's gone. It looks like some kind of lunar landscape. It's just an amazing amount of devastation. But because of our first responders calling out and being available and doing what they always do, both local and state, we're able to get a handle on this. If the weather would cooperate, we can get things put out. As Governor Abbott said, we did not have the right kind of wind speed yesterday to get the aircraft up and going. They were out some today helping. What we really need is about a good 6-inch rain, and followed by another good 6-inch rain. But I want to thank everyone for being here today. With that, I'll turn it back over to you, Governor. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Judge. And next, I'd like to call up Fire Chief Williamson to tell you more about what's going on from his perspective.
First of all, I would just like to say thank you to all the resources the state that came in and helped. Our local resources are taxed, we're fatigued, and we're spread thin, and the state has come in and shored us up, and we just can't thank them enough. I want to take the opportunity to thank Governor Abbott for his display, for his compassion for our community and our area by making a presence here today. One other thing, I'd like to thank the community. The donations and the support is overwhelming, and it doesn't go unnoticed. We thank you so much for that, and it's truly appreciated. So we are working diligently. We have crews out right now to capture the containment, and working to try to prioritize your needs and respond to those areas. So we are listening and trying to be a support to you guys back as you've supported us. One message that I would like to exaggerate and express is that we are not out of danger yet for our high hazard fire risk. So we just ask that the community take real sincere caution in your outdoor activities and practice fire safety, and just help us help you by being safe and cautious. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. And now Chief Dim Kidd, who's the chief of the Texas Division of Emergency Management. Earlier in his life, he also was a professional firefighter himself, so he knows a little bit about the topic.
Thank you, Governor. I want to echo the Governor's thoughts for the family of Barbara Finley. She will be missed. She was a great servant, and thank you for that. I also, my heart is right there on the front line with the first responders, the local officials that are here, the first responders, the ones that always take time away from their family to go and protect other people's land and property. And so I'm grateful for them. Many of them are still out on the line. Many of them have not slept and have not had time to even go back and check on their own homes, and that's why we will continue to bring resources in here to stabilize their efforts and backfill their efforts as long as we can. Governor, you know we do this in a lot of different places across the state. I can't think of any place off the top of my head right now that we have come into that was set up and run as good as this community, and the men and their agency standing behind us have taken care of this community. When I got here, they were talking together, they were working together, they had plans together. It wasn't the first time they had ever met. They've done this very well, and my hat's off to them for the work that they've done. I want to thank the volunteers that are continuing to come in, not just the firefighters, but all that will continue to come in to support the cleanup and the rebuild effort, and it will be a big effort, especially in the community of Carbon. It will be a big effort there. We want all of those that are coming in to volunteer to register at the Volunteer Reception Center. That information will be posted. We don't want spontaneous volunteers coming in, showing up, just working at homes. We want them working with the local community side by side. As the governor mentioned, we have two different types of donations right now. One is for the humans and the families and those that have lost or been impacted. The other is for the livestock. We're going to continue to post that information on our website. We'll ask the city to do the same thing so that there's one place for that to happen. For those that have lost their homes, there is safe shelter tonight. We're working with the Red Cross also for hotel rooms, but there are safe shelters. Nobody should be sleeping in vehicles right now. Everybody should have a safe place to stay. And then I finally want to reiterate Chief Williamson's comments about we are not out of this weather pattern yet. And the last thing we need is a new start on a new fire that pulls firefighters away from the existing resources. So please encourage the community to continue to use caution and be fire wise. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We'll be happy to address your questions.
When you were coming in, you heard on the stand that there were some people that did not want to leave their homes that might be in the path of the fire. What would you say to those folks? I know it's hard to leave your house with fire coming close to what would you say?
Sure, and I'm going to have others answer this also. However, I do want to emphasize, having dealt with multiple catastrophes of different kinds, whether it be hurricanes, fires, tornadoes, whatever the case may be, the most important thing you have is your life. And you must put your life in the life of others first and do what's necessary to protect those lives. Property can be rebuilt. A life lost cannot be rebuilt. So heed the advice of the local officials. If they issue an evacuation notice, please heed that. They're doing it to protect your life. Judge, do you want to add to that?
And I would say that if you stay there out of hard-headedness or stubbornness, you're just putting first responders at risk. And we've already got enough risk. We don't need to be adding to that burden. The first responders are taking time away from their homes, their families, their businesses. And if you are just so stubborn that you want to stay there, good luck. It's on you. Thank you.
Hold on a second. Chief, we're lost. Did you want to add anything to that?
The only thing I would add to that, I just want to exaggerate the point that Judge Fields made, is that we have seen patterns where people have chose to stay. As the fire has become more of an imminent danger, they change their mind, and that is where we're significantly putting first responders at risk, because we are making the efforts to resolve your problem and withdraw you from those danger areas.
So I'll come to you, but let me add this. This is very important. And as we discussed in a meeting before coming out here, there were changes in the winds overnight, and the changes of the winds causes the fire to go in different directions. You don't know where the fire is going to be headed an hour from now or 10 hours from now. And that's why it's so incredibly important for you to continue to keep on top of the information about where the fire is going. And if there's a strong wind behind it, they can move extraordinarily fast, and your home, your neighborhood can be engulfed extremely quickly. We've seen it happen too often, and that's why it's so incredibly important to heed the advice of the local officials. Yes?
Has anyone else been injured, or are there injuries in this fire? Are people in the hospital?
Well, we did have two that were evacuated with the ambulance last night. I don't have an update on where they or how they are, but they did come from the city of Carbon. There was a sweep done earlier today through the city of Carbon, and I think, Sheriff, nothing turned up on that sweep.
We have not found anything yet.
Another sweep's going to be done later with canines, a more intensive sweep. So far, we haven't found anybody else that's missing, besides, of course, Sergeant Finley this morning. And, beyond that, we are trying to keep everybody as safe as possible. But I would advise you not to go back into the area down there unless you are a resident of Carbon. Don't go down there.
Late last night it was contained at 0%. How critical is that the aviation help today in getting it from 0% late tonight to just, middle of the day today to 10% contained?
Sure.
So the aviation is extremely critical on large fires in a small region. The state has ground resources that go in and build fire breaks, but without aviation to slow that spread, it takes the time to get around it and see that containment. So having the aviation on the fire today has been extremely critical to not have the growth like we did yesterday across the fire area.
Governor, you have many residents who are immigrants in these affected areas. Many of them doesn't have papers. They are worried. I've talked to many of them. They are worried that they're not going to have or they're not going to receive the same help that the other. What can you tell them?
And whenever people go to these different locations that are providing assistance, no one asks about any status like that. They're there to help the people who are in need.
Next question. Governor, which densely populated areas right now are in the most danger?
That would be most appropriate for these folks to answer.
So currently the two communities that are at risk would be Rising Star. That is currently threatened. Not directly, we do have forward progress stop, but there is still a risk of that community. The other would be on the Kid Fire. I apologize, I'm dropping the name of the community. Gorman, thank you. Gorman, we did impact that community last night at about 4 a.m. We did not lose any homes there, but throughout the day we've continued to impact it, and we still have resources there.
Do you want to add to that? All right.
Will we see any additional recognition for Deputy Finley, ones that have staff?
So flags are ordered to fly at half staff already, but there will be additional recognition at the appropriate time.
Two more questions?
How long can you, the state, or local officials sustain the current resources before it really becomes a problem?
So resource-wise, the state is able to provide more than resources than will be demanded by this fire event. And we will continue to provide those resources to local officials as they need them.
Governor, are you worried about perhaps burning out some of your firefighters? This is the very beginning of fire season, and for the task force, especially A&M, these firefighters have been out since January, and we're still early on. Come July and the summer, where do you think they're going to be standing in the middle of that key time?
Well, one good thing about Texas is because of the size and the mentality of the people in our state, there are so many firefighters and others who are volunteering to step up to aid those who are working 24/7 right now. And we know they have the capability, the professionalism to, on a moment's notice, come to some place like Eastland and make sure that they're going to be protected. One thing that we did discuss in the room before coming out is there was the ground situation that would be such that it would potentially lead to a fire. One thing that would resolve it would be rains that typically come with the springtime. The hope was the spring rains would arrive before the fires did. That did not work out. My point, however, is that there is the anticipation of spring rains coming that should lessen the possibility for future fires, at least in the short term.
Great, thank you.
Thank you all very much.